Greetings to all. Myself Murli Subramaniam. So we are in process planning cost estimation subject course. We have covered unit 1, 2 so far. Now we are in unit number 3, that is elements of cost. What are the content going to be discussed in unit number 3? Basically introduction about material cost, labor cost and expenses, and how we can able to calculate the direct and indirect cost for material and labor cost. Similarly, how we can able to analyze overhead expenses, factory expenses, administrative expenses, or selling and distribution expenses, how we can able to consider that, and depreciation related, what are the reasons or causes of depreciation, how we can able to analyze the depreciation or methods of depreciation, some simple problems. With that, we are going to complete unit number 3. So these are the content available in unit number 3. So as I said, this unit giving introduction about cost of elements and some simple numericals. So cost is what? Cost is refers to monetary value of resources used to produce goods or services. Yeah, that's what it's a production means. It may be a service also, or manufacturing means producing goods. So either for production or for manufacturing alone, cost is monetary value of resources which is used to produce the goods. If it is a manufacturing, produce goods as well as services in terms of production. So that is what refers as a cost. The total cost of your product is classified into three main components. What are those three components? Material cost, labor cost, and expenses. Under the material cost, under the labor cost, under the expenses, you have a direct, you have a indirect expenses. So we'll see one by one about what is material cost, direct material cost, indirect material cost. Similarly for other two as well. So what is material cost? Material cost is the cost of raw materials and components used in production or manufacturing. It is also classified into two, direct material and indirect material. So what is the material cost? Raw material cost are components. Raw material means if you are from the scratch you are making, or in the sub assemblies, simple components, screws and washers, nuts and all, we are buying it from some other suppliers, then keeping that on as a base. That value also considered like a material cost for us, right? So material cost is the raw material cost as well as components used in production. And then it can be classified into direct and indirect cost, depends on its place where it is used. Direct material cost is what? A raw material that become part of the final product. So when that particular something is there on the component at the end, comparing in the beginning. So raw material that become part of the final part. That is steel in automobile manufacturing. So steel will be there in the car, automobile. In automobile, steel will be there. The steel will be a raw material for us. That steel plates will be going through different shops like punching, piercing, painting shop, grinding shop, assembly section and all. But finally, that raw material, that steel will be there in that final component. That is called like a raw material that become part of final part. That is direct material. Cost directly linked to production is called the direct. Example, the steel or timber for manufacturing. The wood which we are using for furniture definitely will be there till the last of the final product. Or in textile industry, the cotton which we are going to use, that will be definitely there at the in the final product also. That is considered as a direct material cost. Then what is meant by indirect material cost? Material that do not form part of final product but are used in production. So at the end of the final product, the material which we are using in between the process won't be there at the end. But without that, we can't able to do the production or we can't able to do the manufacturing. But it is necessary to complete the production or manufacturing, but not necessarily it should be there in the final product when we are delivering to the market. Okay, that kind of material and its value considered as an indirect material cost. Example, we are using some lubricants. When we are using turning machine, milling machine, grinding machine, we use some lubricant. That is also considered as a material, but that material is useful for making the process or doing the process without any issues, without any failure in the manufacturing process. But not necessarily that lubricants will be there in the final product. That is used in the process, but not at the end of the product when it reaches the customer. So, but that cost is being involved. That is considered under indirect material cost. Okay, that cost can be part of overhead cost also. So this is material cost, direct material and indirect material. So we have to be very, very clear about what is direct, the cost which we are putting on the product in the making during the making. That product needs to be there at the final product as well. Then what are all the costs we are spending on the material? If that material is there in the final product, then that cost can be considered as a direct material cost. If we are spending some cost on material which is used to make the final product but not part of the final product, example like some kind of abrasive or some kind of lubricants, we will be using during the manufacturing process, but it won't be there at the on the final product, then that should not be considered as a direct, it should be considered as an indirect material cost. Then labor cost, in labor cost also we should we'll be having two splits. One is direct labor cost, another one is the indirect labor cost. The labor cost includes wages and salaries paid to workers involved in production. Okay, what kind of salaries we are paying or wages we are extra incentives we are giving, all will be considered under the labor cost. Direct labor cost in this wages paid to workers directly engaged in manufacturing. Example, machine operator, assembly line worker, so who is handling the product in directly. Okay, so packaging industry means the person who is taking that and delivering to someone. Okay, our inspection in the sense of who is handling the component, checking for the quality. For them we are paying some salary. That all comes under direct labor cost. Then what is indirect labor cost? Wages of workers not directly involved in production but essential for operation, like supervisors, maintenance staff, security personnel. They are also needed for the industry in order to control or oversee the production or oversee the manufacturing. The supervisor is needed to control or monitor whether the workforce is doing their task as per the required number. So they are needed, but they are not directly handling the work, but they are controlling or monitoring the workers. So the supervisor charges maintenance staff or securities who is taking ensuring the security of that floor or plant. For them also we need to pay some wages, salaries to them. So those things comes under indirect labor cost. So we should have a clear idea about what is direct labor cost and the indirect labor cost from this. Then expenses, again we have a direct expenses, indirect expenses. Expenses include all other costs including incurred during production apart from material and labor costs. So some of the costs we consider about the material cost. In material cost also we have a direct material, indirect material. Similarly, labor cost also we saw direct labor cost, indirect labor cost. Other than these four, we may be having or we may be spending some money for the product or for the production or for the manufacturing. Those things considered as expenses. In that expenses also we have two things. One is direct expenses, another one is the indirect expenses. What is direct expenses? Specific cost directly related to your job or process. Example, if we are investing some special machine hire for a customized order. Suddenly we are receiving a component to be manufactured in our industry. But in order to make that component or product, we don't have a machine. It maybe needs some special equipment. That equipment is not available in the industry. Instead, for that, if we are decided to buy that, it's maybe huge expensive one. If we are going to have the component order for huge volume for continuous year, investing for that special purpose machine is a good decision. If we are not going to have that particular order for longer time and also lesser volume, better not to invest the huge money for the special purpose machine. Instead, we can we can able to rent that kind of special machine and we can use it for our purpose. That is, but because that is going to impact on the product. So that is considered direct expenses. But how about that indirect expenses? This expenses not covered under indirect material cost as well as indirect labor cost. What are the indirect expenses? Cost not directly tied to a single unit but necessary for operation. It is necessary for operation, but it is not directly linked to the particular unit or single unit. What are the things? Electricity bill, rent we are paying for the places, and what all we maybe have insured the places. Okay, these are all the expenses not covered for single unit. It's for the whole. Okay, that is it cannot be considered as a direct material cost, or it cannot be considered as a indirect material cost. Neither it cannot be considered as the labor cost of direct labor cost or indirect labor cost. Even it cannot be considered as a direct expenses because it is not related to job. It is not going to do any activity or in doing something on the product. Yeah, you can say that electricity. Yeah, without electricity, machine won't run. No, I'm not talking about the electricity. It's overall electricity. Don't specific that. Okay, and the rent we are going to pay. We are going to do the insurance, but that is also cost to the industry. But it won't comes under any previously explained cost. So that then this expenses comes considered as a indirect expenses. Okay. So analysis of overhead expenses. Overhead expenses are indirect cost incurred during production. What are the indirect costs we discussed so far? That will be considered as a overhead expenses. Factory expenses, or we can consider as a factory overhead. Indirect costs related to manufacturing. Example, machine maintenance. It is overhead charges. Factory lighting, depreciation of equipment comes under factory expenses or factory overhead. Administrative expenses, cost associated with the managing the business. We need to do some business, run the business. We need to spend some money, right? So that administrative expenses also comes under overhead expenses. Selling and distribution expenses, cost involved in promotion, cost involved for selling, cost involved for delivering the product. That all comes under overhead expenses. Selling expenses or distribution expenses. Selling expenses means for advertisement, for sales commissions or promotional events, we do something that is. Then distribution means we need to pack it, we need to transport it. Logistic costs, warehouse means we need to have a location where we can temporarily store. So warehouse costing and all. But all this will comes under overhead expenses. So cost of elements is we have material cost, labor cost, and expenses. Material cost is divided into two: direct material and indirect material. Direct material in the sense the cost invested on the particular material, that material needs to be there at the final. A simple example, consider as a desk or wooden shelves. Wooden shelf, raw material is made up of timber or wood. That wood will be there in the final product also. That is considered as a direct material cost. But we may use some lubrication or abrasive when we are preparing the product from raw material like a wood to final product. We may use something, right? So that won't be there at the end of the product, the lubrication, or you consider like abrasives. But that lubrication or abrasive need cost, that material cost needed, that material cost comes under indirect material cost. Labor cost in the sense wages or salaries paid to the workers who directly engage on that particular manufacturing process. But cost we are spending for human resources who is doing some supervising role or who is managing that places or doing security job. For them we need to pay some wages, right? That all comes under indirect labor costs. Then what all the expenses or cost we are considering which is not categorized under either direct labor cost or indirect labor cost or direct material cost or indirect material cost needs to be considered as expenses. Even that expenses we have to have two. We are having two. One is direct expenses, another one is the indirect expenses. In direct expenses, in the sense if we are having a special purpose machine, we are renting it for doing some task for the product. For rent we are paying for that particular special purpose machine, because the special purpose machine going to do some direct activity on the particular product from raw material to final product, so it should be considered as a direct expenses. But rent, electricity, insurance, if we are paying for that industry, cannot be considered under any other expenses other than indirect expenses. So with that indirect expenses, we have to think about what are the overhead expenses. Overhead expenses considered as a factory expense, overhead expenses, administrative overhead expenses, or selling and distribution expenses. So these are all the basic cost elements for industry with respect to material, labor, and expenses. So simple example for material cost calculation. So consider an image or image of this, an isometric view of a workpiece, isometric view of a workpiece. What will be the weight of the mild steel material? How much material required to produce it? How much material required to produce it? The density of the material is given 2.68 gram per centimeter cube. Find also the material cost if its rate is rupees 100 per kg. Per kg they have given, and the weight of we need to calculate the weight. Once we got the weight with respect to the material cost, we can able to calculate the material cost required. So first we need to calculate the weight of this material. In order to find the weight of the material, we need to understand the component part features for the design. So here, how many number of components are there, parts are there? Consider like a full four. In that one, A, B, C, D, four simple parts are there. A, B, C, so looks like a cylinder with a different in length by diameter ratio. But this feature C is SQ, like a square. SQ represents the square. Others are given like a 22 diameter with the length of 35 cylinder, then 38 diameter with the length of 26 length of 26 millimeter, and that final cylinder is with the diameter of 20 and with the length of 50 millimeter. But the middle component is thickness of 15, but what is the square? It is given like a 32 millimeter as a square. So we need to calculate the material cost for that. So the dimensions are given. So what we need to calculate? First, we need to calculate the volume. Once we calculated the volume with the total volume with and it's all four A, B, C, D is made up of same material. So we can consider same density for all. So calculating the volume for section A, B, C, D, and total volume we have to calculate. With the total volume, if we are multiplying with the density, we could be able to calculate the weight of the material required for making this for the final component. Along with that material weight, if we are multiplying the unit cost per kg, we could be able to achieve the material cost required for making this. So volume A, volume B, volume C, volume D. So pi by 4 d squared L, multiple relationships are there to make. So here we have used pi by 4 d squared into L. D is the diameter, L is the length. Similarly for volume B, volume D also. But in terms of volume C, it is a square. So 32 by 32 into with the thickness of 15. 32 by 32 into 15 millimeter, we are getting different volume. So once we calculated volume for each block A, B, C, D, then we need to summarize all A, B, C, D. So put together total volume in terms of millimeter cube. That millimeter cube converted in terms of meter cube. Then we are multiplying that with our density value. So again here total volume versus density, we are achieving like weight of the material 0.198 kg. So weight is 0.198 kg into 100 means per kg they given like 100. So multiplying that, we'll be getting 19.8 rupees to material cost needed to make that particular material cost is needed for that. So here it's direct material cost only we are discussing. We are not discussing about indirect because actually needed. So here what are the point we need to ensure is the unit conversion. So millimeter to meter and gram to kilogram and the conversions are there. So we have to be very careful in unit conversion because the density given in terms of gram per centimeter cube and all other dimensions given in terms of millimeter. Either we need to convert the gram per centimeter into millimeter by centimeter cube, sorry, gram per millimeter cube, or we need to convert in terms of millimeter cube. So here from gram to kilogram per meter cube converted. Similarly, we need to convert other units also. The volume also we need to. So by with that only this total cost, material cost is being calculated. Okay. So some of that tables maybe it's just for reference and it's not for final reference. I'm telling just for the simple reference I'm giving. Each material has its own density value. So it is there in the data book. We might have studied in materials technology or in basic physics or chemistry. We might have studied. So we should know the basic density. Mostly it is given in that paper in the questions and all. If not, we need to have a fundamental idea about what could be the density for aluminum, brass, bronze, cast iron, copper, gold, mild steel, zinc, tin kind of thing. And similarly, how to calculate the volume or how to calculate the area for that figures or uh, different features it is available in that product means how to calculate volume or how to calculate area we need to have simple just to recollect I have given here. Please work out on that and volume calculation also for cylinder, for rectangular solid or prism, or for cones or pyramids, and also for frustum, sphere, segment in the sphere or wedge. How to calculate volume also given here. So just to recollect. So another example to calculate material cost, simple procedure is first we need to understand the given drawing and we need to calculate the volume. Once we calculated the volume with that total volume multiplying with the density, we could be able to achieve the weight. Then unit cost for that weight, material cost also given. With that easily we can able to calculate. So here to understand the drawing, we have a block slide block which is as shown in the figure. The weight of the material that is density is 7.2 gram per centimeter cube. 1 kg of the material cost is given like rupees 6.25. So this is the block. So here you can able to see A, this is the A, this is B, this is C, this is D, and also we can able to see there is a one more component called E. So totally how many component A is there, B is there, C is there, D is there, E also there. But there's a through hole. This is a through hole. So this is considered as a F. So through hole means there is empty place. So what we need to do, we need to calculate the total volume of this particular block A, and with that the total volume of that cylindrical drill like a hole, hollow cylinder like a F, we need to separate it so that we can able to get that. So that is the one of the challenges in this particular. So all the dimensions are given in terms of millimeter. Here is a 300 by 25. So B and C is almost like a same. B and C is same shape. Cross section is same, like a rectangular block with that 25 height with the 300 length and 160. 160 plus 25 is the overall length. Similarly here also, again here is the E and D is almost same, like 25 by 25 with the length of 300. Similarly E also same. So how to do? So volume A, volume B, volume C, volume D, volume E, volume F. So as we said, volume A 175, 150, 185. 175 and 160 plus 25 is 185. Then 150. This is 150 because this is 150. 150, 175, 185. So multiplying that, we can able to get the volume of A. Then volume of B is this is the volume of B. So 300, 300 cross 185 cross 25. This is 25. 300 cross 25 cross 185. Similarly, for volume C also same. Volume B and volume C is same. So we got the same volume. Volume D and volume E is same. Volume D and volume E is same, like a 25 cross 300. Like a 300 cross 25 cross 25 is the volume D and volume E is also same. So volume F is the cylinder in middle. What is middle? Like 65 diameter with the length of 185. So pi by d square L we can have pi by 4 d squared L. With that 65 is the diameter, L is the 185. So we calculate volume. So what we need to do from what to say from here A, from this or from total we can able to subtract this, then it is considered as a total volume. So how it is done? Volume A plus volume B, C, D, E, and finally it is subtracted with the volume F, because that there is a through hole. By doing that we can able to get the total volume. Once we have the total volume, multiplying the total volume with the density also given 7.2, but unit conversion as I said, either millimeter cube, gram per millimeter cube, or gram per meter cube, or kg per meter cube, like unit conversion we have to do. By doing the unit conversion, we are able to get that the weight of the block as a 53 kg, 53.225 kg. Then they have given cost for material is 6.25 rupees. So 53.225 into 6.25, we will be getting rupees 332.66 rupees for material cost for this example. Okay. So hereafter, I think we'll be having a simple example. So I will be continuing that in our upcoming lecture. So far we have discussed what is meant by material cost, what is meant by labor cost, what is meant by expenses, what is direct material cost, indirect material cost, direct labor cost, the indirect labor cost, direct expense, indirect expense, overhead charges, factory expenses, and administrative expenses, selling and distribution expenses, and how to calculate material cost with the example we have discussed. Okay, I'm winding up this lecture. We'll continue on the upcoming video. Okay, thank you.